Hi friends, this is Lori Bulow, and the stage is set for a potentially very ugly confrontation between radical leftist protesters on one side and law enforcement authorities and Trump supporters on the other side. It's being estimated that hundreds of thousands of supporters will be arriving in D.C. to celebrate the inauguration of President Donald Trump, but it's also being estimated that many people will be coming to D.C. as well to specifically protest the inauguration of Trump. And these paid protesters, which the majority of them are, and rioters, plan to set up blockades, disrupt inaugural balls, and generally cause as much chaos as they possibly can. And in fact, a spokesman for Disrupt J20 says the goal of his organization is for Trump to be inaugurated amid complete chaos. Needless to say, causing complete chaos is going to bring many of those protesters into direct confrontation with law enforcement. And if these anarchists do what they say they're going to do, law enforcement personnel will be forced to physically intervene. And I'm not going to read to you the post that Disrupt J20's website says, because I'm not about to give them publicity for their anarchy. But in addition to law enforcement, many Trump supporters have made it quite clear that they are not going to put up with physical obstruction or intimidation by radical lefts. Bikers for Trump is one such group, and they are anticipating that 5,000 of their members will be attending the inauguration. According to Bikers for Trump founder Chris Cox, his organization is prepared to form a wall of meat if necessary, and I did do a video on this. The bikers are certainly used to being outnumbered, and we are prepared, he says, to form a wall of meat. We're anticipating a celebration here. We don't anticipate any problems. We have a strict code of conduct where we don't condone violence, he says. But again, in the event that we're needed, you can certainly count on Bikers for Trump. We'll be shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and toe to toe with anyone that's going to break through any police barriers. The backbone of the biker community is the veteran, he says. So these are guys that aren't really used to backing down. And you certainly won't see bikers out there screaming, calling for destruction of private property or the death of police officers, as the left do. Tensions will be running extremely high in D.C. over the next week, and it isn't going to take much to spark a major incident. On Monday, an incredibly shocking undercover video was released that shows 3 members of the anti-fascist coalition talking about how they could potentially use butyric acid to disrupt an inaugural ball that is scheduled for Thursday evening. That's tonight, friends. The following is from LifeSet article about the undercover video, and I'll read this to you. I was thinking of things that would ruin the evening, ruin their outfits, or otherwise make it impossible to continue with their plans. Make sure they get nothing accomplished, Green says in the video. If you had a pint of butyric acid, excuse me, I don't care how big the building is, it's closing, says Kuhn. And this stuff is very efficient. It's very, very smelly, lasts a long time, and a little of it goes a long way, Green chimes in eagerly. These radicals clearly do not have any problem harming people in order to make a political statement. If you are not familiar with butyric acid, it is often used to create stink bombs, but in higher concentrations it can actually be quite dangerous. Inhaling of butyric acid may result in soreness of throat, coughing, a burning sensation, and labored breathing. Ingestion of the acid may result in abdominal pain, shock, and collapse. Physical exposure to the acid may result in pain, blistering, and skin burns, while exposure to the eyes may result in pain, severe deep burns, and loss of vision. Just like Islamic terrorists, these radical, reprobate leftists want to create fear, and they want to get as much attention as possible. One of the attention-grabbing stunts that they have planned is to literally block people from getting to the inauguration. If protesters are able to successfully block a few of the main roads and couple metro lines, they literally will be able to paralyze transportation throughout the entire city. And according to one of the main organizers, this is precisely what they plan to do. And of course they do, friends, because they have the backing of George Soros and the Clinton cartel and the Obama nations, and they have the backing of the Bill Ayers will be involved in this, because he's teamed up with George Soros, as I'd mentioned to this in previous videos, as well as Michael Moore funding this. And you see, friends, they did the organizing, they did the funding of it to get all these dumbed down, willful, ignorant people out on the streets to do their dirty work for them. So now that they got it all arranged, they're sitting back and they're going to be watching everything unfold, and they're going to be applauding it and encouraging it, and this is how they work. So now that they got it all, they have it all organized and funded, they're now got the people, once again, they're dumbed down, willful, ignorant people that will be out on the streets doing the rioting. And now that they have it organized, everything is set for them, they're going to sit back and they're going to watch. And this is exactly what they do. And they create situations. They always have created the situation, and then they go in to claim to be the peacemaker. So they bring order out of chaos, as you've heard that expression before, and that's exactly what they intend to do. Yet they'll be on the news tomorrow or the next day or next week or a month from now, smiling as if they never had anything to do with it. You don't hear anything from the lawmakers, the Democrats. You don't hear anything from the commander-in-chief telling these people not to take part in anything like this, not to cause the riots, the anarchy, because they're the ones involved, friends. They're the ones funding it, and they're the ones who want to do the completion of the overthrow of our country. So they think. But I have a feeling that they're going to get quite a surprise once they do this. And every one of them are going to be called to justice one way or another. And the good news is that tens of millions of dollars, did you hear that, friends? Tens of millions of dollars is being spent on security, and officials are closely monitoring what those radical, reprobate, narcissistic groups are trying to do. So it is unlikely that the rioters will be able to completely disrupt the inauguration celebrations. And the following comes from the Washington Post. By week's end, the nation's capital will have transformed into a virtual fortress of roadblocks, fences, and armed police. Streets will be barricaded with trucks filled with sand. 5 metro stations will close Friday. Crossing Pennsylvania Avenue will be next to impossible. The peaceful transfer of power is made possible by overlaying a tight security grid using 28,000 security officials over 100 square blocks of prime downtown real estate, from the White House to the Capitol and beyond, with a price tag in the tens of millions of dollars. Let's hope that law enforcement personnel are able to keep the protests relatively bottled up over the course of this week, because the potential exists for things to spiral out of control very rapidly. Sometimes there is a temptation to allow protesters a little space so they can blow off steam, but if scenes of chaos and violence start appearing on television, there is a very real possibility that the streets of Washington, D.C. could quickly come to resemble a war zone, and these anarchists had better be prepared for what's in store for them, because I have a feeling that they're going to get quite a surprise, and we'll just sit back, watch, and be sure to pray for our new incoming president. This is Lori Bulow. I'll post more info below.